Hi, welcome back. I'm Frank Lavario, founder of the Lavario Programs Against Addiction, self-help programs. And today I want to talk about relapses. Huge subject. Relapses as a great opportunity. And I'm going to read out something to you from the program, from the Lavario program. So you decide to stop with your addictive behavior. You manage it for a while, but then you have a relapse and you feel terrible and desperate. It's a typical situation that you all probably know. Let's take a closer look at that. Relapses are part of recovery, as gas is needed for driving cars. Of course, this is easier said than done. In reality, relapses are by far the number one reason for recovery not coming true. This is not obvious because at the same time, relapses are one of the most important reasons or factors for successful healing. It is all about how you deal with relapses. Either they pull you down so much that you give up and throw away everything. If not at the first time, you might react like this at the second time it happens. Alternatively, you learn from relapses and draw the right conclusions out of them for the next time that you are tempted. Whenever you learn something new, you will make mistakes during the learning process. That is part of the game. I have just explained in the book it says we have just explained your right to make mistakes. When you learn to ride a bike, you probably fell off the bike quite a few times in the beginning. When you studied for your driver's license exam, the majority of you got many questions wrong when confronted with them for the first time. That was obvious because you still needed to learn it, right? Now you also learn something new, how to live without an addiction. I just assume that you will order the Lavario program, so you will learn it. Therefore, you will obviously make mistakes again. These mistakes in recovery are referred to as relapses. Unfortunately, you probably expect so much of yourself that the world will collapse when you have your first real relapse. You will feel like a big loser, a failure, and think, that you will never get it done, that you deserve misery again. You think everything will start again now. I'm just too stupid. That's it. It's all over. You know what? You are right if you think that way. Because with this attitude, you will surely fall back to zero and everything will start again. You need to think differently. It needs to go something like this. What a pity. Relapse stinks. Well, that is not so great, but hey, it's also a chance to learn something. As you did when you were a child. After improving so much recently, there must be a reason why I relapsed at this moment. I will find out why and learn from it. This way I can better prepare myself for the next time. Now that's a completely different way of thinking. And that's what you need to get into your head. That is how you succeeded in preparation for your driver's license exam. You checked the textbook again, found the correct answer, and when the question popped up again, you knew the answer. Every time that you fell off your bike as a child and got back on it, you were a little bit better than before. And that is learning from your mistake. Or put differently, relapses are part of the healing process, as gas is part of being able to drive a car. Without relapses, you cannot proceed. Let me give you an example that I collected. Abraham Lincoln, one of the greatest US presidents, defeats in his life. At the age of 32, he lost an election. At the age of 34, his company went bankrupt. At the age of 35, Abraham Lincoln's fiancée died. At the age of 36, he had a nervous breakdown. At the age of 38, he lost another election. At the age of 43, he was defeated in Congress. At the age of 46, he was again defeated in Congress. At the age of 48, he was defeated in Congress for the third time. At the age of 55, he was defeated in Senate. At the age of 56, he failed in becoming vice president. At the age of 58, he was defeated again in the Senate. At the age of 60, Abe Lincoln became president of the United States. So, coming back to your situation, do you really believe that you can heal forever just because you start watching some videos here, you start reading some text, or even worse, you just sit there at home and think, okay, as of tomorrow, I will not be addicted anymore. When you hear this question, the answer will probably be clear to you, and you will say, yeah, of course not. However, in reality, you will not think like this, or you do not think like this. In reality, if that happens, you will again put unrealistic expectations on yourself. In reality, you will feel ashamed and guilty when the first relapse happens after you set yourself new goals and targets. You will tell yourself that you always knew that you were bad and weak, that you're not worth anything, and that you did not even succeed in doing this, this therapy or this, whatever you call it, what you do at home now. Then the vicious cycle will start again. You will want to kill the guilt and shame by consuming even more of your drug, whether that is food, porn, alcohol, gambling, whatever it is. And then, if you consume more, you will fall back into your old patterns, of behavior, your patterns of behavior, and it will probably even get worse. Be honest with yourself. And let's agree that you will probably display a destructive reaction if that happens. If you can agree to that, you can also start preparing for a more healthy way of thinking and behaving in the case of relapse. Can you already recognize that how you deal with this subject is one of the most important factors in overcoming an addiction, in a long-lasting healing process? You need to become an expert in that, in how to deal with setbacks and how to deal with relapse. And of course, the full Lavario program, you learn how to do that. So much on it and so many exercises. But you need strategies on how to deal with craving and with relapses in the future. A firm will and confidence can help, of course. But alone, it's not sufficient. First, you need a healthy attitude towards relapses. Realize the following example from an excellent life coach. I'm not sure if you know her, Vera Birkenbiel. She passed away. She was a best-selling author in Europe, at least. A 3-year-old boy, she wrote, a 3-year-old boy plays with bricks and tries to build a tower. Repeatedly, the tower collapses. Suddenly, the boy learns that he always touches the tower with the sleeve of his pullover, and that is the reason the tower collapses. Next time, the boy does it right, and the tower remains standing, and finally, the boy is happy. If your parents have promoted such a quiet, patient learning for you, you will not have many problems with making mistakes. However, if you grew up in an environment in which you heard, watch out, a lot, you will not have been able to learn a lot from mistakes. You were programmed in a way that mistakes are bad and that you should feel ashamed of making mistakes. And a lot of you have grown up like that. Concerning relapses, this means, should you have one, you will be ashamed and you would not dare to go back and try again, either with the Lavario program or with other approaches that you might choose for overcoming your addiction. Because if you do, you might make the same mistake again, or you make the next mistake. So you do not continue learning and even calm your conscience by telling yourself, well, I didn't really learn and put efforts into it. Therefore, it's clear that I make mistakes. And that the whole thing will not work out. Instead, what you should do is you should believe in something that is explained also in the Lavario program. Maybe I'll make a video about it. Mistakes are vital for learning. Without relapses, you will not ever really understand where your addiction comes from. Only by studying these situations carefully will you learn something new and do it better next time. In addition, the trigger analysis from one of the other videos that I already put here, that trigger analysis can also help. And you need to learn a lot of many strategies on how to deal with craving and relapses. And also, in this one I already did 1 or 2 videos. Maybe I'll produce a few more. What is really important is set realistic targets. It does not make sense to expect that you will recover 100% at once. It has nothing to do with your character or with your power of will. You have been addicted for so long. It will not continue without relapses. Realize that. It's critically important. However, if you deal with them in the right way, they will be weaker every time. The danger is exaggerations in your target. Exaggerations in your target. Addictive behavior is exaggerated behavior. So you get used to exaggerating and typically tend to want too much too quickly, also in your recovery process. And you need to get that out of your mind. So this does not mean that you should provoke a relapse. If nothing happens, even better. It is rather about being mentally prepared for it to happen. For feeling as little guilt and shame as possible if that happens, and for having an emergency plan, how to behave when it happens. For example, how to make sure that you find your way out of that critical situation again. And think about the following. Maybe take a piece of paper and write down. Give your definition of a relapse. First of all, what is a relapse for you? How would you need to behave to call it a relapse? And then, what are you ready to allow yourself to avoid becoming desperate? Consider the quantity, the intensity, and the length of a relapse. So what are you ready to allow yourself? How do you think you will react in the case of relapse? Do not overestimate yourself, as your addiction is a well-learned self-offending behavior. It is not hard to imagine that you will again offend yourself when suffering a relapse. Try to keep in mind that relapse is inevitable, but it does not have to be devastating to your recovery. So try to imagine, try to figure out how you probably will react the next time that it happens. And then, as a next point, what will you be able to do in a situation of relapse in order to catch your fall, to stand up again and continue your path to recovery with positivity? It's crucial that you imagine that before. No, that's not only imagining, that you think about it before, write it down, that you have a plan for critical situations. Because otherwise you get so emotional, you get so desperate, you're so full of shame and guilt that you will not have the tools in your hand to get out of it. You need to prepare for it. You need to write it down. That's why before you should imagine how you know yourself best. You should imagine how you will react if you watch porn again, if you eat too much, if you drink too much, and then make a plan already now. What you should do. And I think I stop it here. So hopefully that gave you some good ideas. To sum it up, relapse is important. You need to have relapse. It's nothing bad, It's just about how you deal with it. You can manage relapses, and then it can be very, very constructive, very positive for your recovery process. Yeah. Good. Thanks for your attention, and maybe see you in one of the next videos. Bye bye.